In a time when questioning the heavens could cost you your life, one man looked through a telescope and saw the truth. His name was Galileo Galilei, father of modern science. Galileo was born in Pisa, Italy, in 1564. As a boy, he was already considered a prodigy. When he was 9, he studied mathematics and physics at the University of Pisa. But what truly captured his soul was the sky. When Galileo was 45 years old, something amazing happened. A Dutch spectacle maker had invented the telescope. News of this invention reached Galileo, and he became intrigued. At first he thought it might be a hoax. Could anyone really see that far into space with a simple tube? If it was real, then perhaps he could see more than the stars. Perhaps he could see the heavens themselves. Galileo built his own telescope. It wasn't the first, but his was powerful enough to reveal the moon's craters, sunspots, and even the moons of Jupiter. He was astonished by what he saw. He could see things for himself without having to rely on ancient texts or scholars who claimed to know the truth. With his telescope, Galileo made discoveries that revolutionized the world. He saw the moon's surface like never before. He watched comets streak across the sky. He saw Saturn's rings and even 4 moons orbiting the planet. These moons, named after Galileo, are still known as the Galilean moons today. But it was his discovery of sunspots that really shook the world. The sun, he realized, was not perfect and unchanging. It had blemishes like an aging man, but it was his observations of Venus that truly changed everything. Galileo saw phases in Venus similar to the phases of the moon, and that meant only one thing. Venus, he realized, was orbiting the sun. This idea wasn't new. Copernicus had proposed it earlier, but Galileo had something others didn't: proof. He wrote about his discovery in a book called The Starry Messenger. He wrote in Italian, so that the public, not just scholars, could read it. Soon, people everywhere were talking about these amazing new discoveries. They couldn't believe that the Earth was actually a planet and not the center of the universe. For centuries, people had believed the Bible's story of creation. They believed the Earth was created in 4004 BC, and that God placed it right in the middle of the universe. But if the Earth was just a planet orbiting the sun, then that meant it wasn't special. It wasn't unique. It wasn't God's masterpiece. Of course, not everyone agreed. Many people were happy with the idea of a geocentric universe, and they wanted to keep it that way. But the world was changing. Scientific revolution was underway. And once people saw that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe, they couldn't unsee it. But there was one group that didn't like what Galileo had discovered: the Church. The Catholic Church controlled scientific thought. What Galileo was doing was dangerous. To say the Earth moved around the sun was to contradict Scripture. It wasn't just heresy, it was rebellion. In 1633, Galileo was summoned before the Inquisition. They accused him of spreading dangerous ideas. Under threat of torture, he was forced to recant. He had to publicly deny what he knew to be true. Legend has it that as he left the court, he whispered, "Epper si move," and yet it moves. After that, Galileo spent the rest of his life under house arrest. He died blind, imprisoned in his own home in 1642, but his ideas did not die. He laid the foundation for modern physics, astronomy, and the scientific method. He proved that the universe was bigger and more complex than anyone had ever imagined. And he showed that the Earth was just a small part of it. It would take centuries for the Church to admit it was wrong, but Galileo didn't care. He'd already moved the world forward. He didn't just change how we see the stars, he changed how we see truth. Thanks for watching. When you think about it, it's amazing that someone who went against the most powerful institution of his time could change the world forever. Do you know someone who goes against the grain? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you want to see more videos of ours, click the subscribe button.